Paradox, the Kabbalistic Path of Expanding Consciousness. Part 7, Tools for Managing Paradoxes, introducing the Chashmal jig, 1 of 3. Paradoxes often start out hidden, but there are telltale signs that we have entered the maelstrom of a paradox. When those appear, it's time to start excavating, because there are sure to be secrets hiding beneath. One sign of a lurking paradox is when we find ourselves intensely intolerant of people who think like this or believe like that, who look like this or behave like that. In other words, when we cannot see the other side of whatever it is we are condemning. That is one sure sign that a paradox is poking through, and we've only unearthed one of its poles. This was discussed in Lesson 6. Another sign is the exact opposite, where we feel intense ambivalence, where we see both sides of the matter all too well and can't make a choice between them. We can't move forward because we can't sustain an inner resolve to follow one path or another. Sometimes it looks blue, sometimes yellow. I just don't know who to believe. Because ambivalence produces anxiety, our knee-jerk response is to pick a side and then eliminate the paradox by proving that the other side is one big lie. We'll call this the political solution to paradox. Oftentimes, people don't even realize that this is what they've done. Its artificial certainty does reduce anxiety, at least for a moment, until admission of the contrary paradoxical truth becomes unavoidable. At that point, a person must either admit that he has based himself on a half-truth, which is also a half-lie, and recalculate his course, however humbling that may be, or decide to carry on as if the half-truth were a whole truth, because it's too late to turn back. Many choose the latter, face-saving option. It is one cause for the high incidence of depression in our days. The Torah's advice for addressing this dilemma is the Chashmal jig. The term Chashmal derives from Ezekiel's vision, the mystical passage that is the focus of Kabbalistic inquiry. The term means literally electrum and refers to amber, the yellowish tree resin that enchanted the ancient world with its magical propensity for exerting static electric charge. Kabbalists note that the word Chashmal, electrum, is built from two subwords that have contradictory meanings. Chash means silence and mal means speech. In modern Hebrew, Chashmal means electricity. In science, electricity, short for electromagnetism, refers to a whole spectrum of expression from X-rays to radio waves, including both visible and invisible light. A science primer explains how to generate Chashmal. A vibrating magnetic field creates an electric field, which in turn vibrates and creates a new magnetic field, whose vibrations create still another electric field ad infinitum. This interplay between alternating magnetic and electric fields is what creates electromagnetic waves, including light. It is curious that the pervasive energy of creation, called Chashmal, electromagnetism, arises from an alternation between two paradoxical poles, electricity and magnetism. As below, so above, says Kabbalah. The pervasive energy of consciousness also comes from Chashmal, the vibration between the two paradoxical states of Chash and Mal, silence and speech. Chash and Mal, silence and speech, are literally opposites and produce a specific paradox unto themselves. Yet as Kabbalistic polarities, they also serve as a prototype for all paradoxes. In the next two lessons, we will explore the paradox of Chash and Mal in its literal sense. In subsequent lessons, we will generalize upon these teachings and use Chashmal to model the universal features of every paradox. In summary, ambivalence occurs when two compelling yet contradictory options present themselves, and we don't know which one to choose. This indecision produces anxiety. One way to restore certainty is to pick a side and prove that its contender has no merit at all. But this political solution will eventually collapse because it is not true. Chashmal is a teaching derived from the Torah. It turns the vacillation of ambivalence into a spiritual practice that trains the mind to hold complexity and clears the way for right action, as we shall see. It is called the Chashmal jig because it jiggles the mind open to higher truths, as we shall explore in subsequent lessons.